Have you ever heard this prophecy? A pope will rise, not from Europe, but from Asia. From a land of islands, from a people overlooked by the world but beloved by God. At first glance, it sounds like a fictional novel or the plot of a religious thriller. But this idea, this prophecy, was actually declared by a Protestant preacher decades ago. He claimed that the next spiritual turning point for the global church would come from the East, specifically from the Philippines. Now, with the death of Pope Francis, the world is watching. Cardinals from every continent are gathering, and among them, several Filipino leaders, respected, humble, deeply spiritual. Could this be it? Could a new chapter in church history be written right now? Stick around, because today we're exploring this eye-opening possibility. By the end of this video, you'll see why this prophecy matters, not just for Catholics, not just for Filipinos, but for all of us living in these prophetic times. Let's begin with the origin of the claim. In the late 20th century, a Protestant preacher, possibly a Pentecostal or charismatic minister, shared a vision he believed was from God. In his words, "The next great move of God will come from Asia. The man who leads the largest flock will be one of humility. He will come from the islands, and he will carry a message not just for Catholics, but for the world." Though lacking official recognition, the prophecy gained attention among Christian communities in the Philippines and beyond. It wasn't specific about names, but it sparked curiosity. Could a non-European pope really emerge? Could the next vicar of Christ come from the Pearl of the Orient Seas? What once seemed far-fetched suddenly doesn't anymore. So, let's talk numbers for a moment. The Philippines is actually the third largest Catholic country in the world, coming in right behind Brazil and Mexico. There are over 80 million Catholics here, which is nearly 80% of the entire population. But you know, it's not just about the numbers. It's really the vibrancy of the faith that stands out. Filipino Catholics are known for these massive Holy Week processions, those crowded Simbang Gabi dawn masses, and even public displays of penance. Their faith isn't something they keep private, it's public, it's passionate. And honestly, that passion is spreading across the globe, as millions of overseas Filipino workers bring their faith to new lands. It makes you wonder, could the next Pope actually come from the place where Catholicism is most alive? If there's one name on everyone's lips right now, it's Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Called the Asian Francis, he's known for his joyful simplicity, humility and pastoral heart. He's often seen laughing with children, washing the feet of the poor, or riding public transportation with everyday Filipinos. He speaks fluent English, Italian, Tagalog and more, making him a bridge between continents. And in 2019, Pope Francis appointed him as the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, one of the most powerful positions in the Church. You know, many say that if there's ever going to be a Filipino Pope in our future, this is the man. All throughout Scripture, God chooses the overlooked. David was the youngest son, left tending sheep. Mary was just a young girl from Nazareth, which was kind of a forgotten town. And Jesus himself came from a place where people would ask, can anything good come from there? The Philippines, though rich in faith, has long been on the geopolitical margins. It's rarely at the center of global headlines. But biblically, that's exactly the kind of place God moves from. If we believe God can raise up leaders from unlikely places, why not from Asia? Why not from the Philippines? Pope Francis, the first pope from the Americas, shifted the Church's axis away from traditional European dominance. He championed voices from the global South. He made the Church more inclusive, more pastoral, and more humble. And in doing so, he prepared the way for a non-European successor. Francis appointed cardinals from countries that had never had one before, Laos, Tonga, Brunei, and gave enormous responsibility to Cardinal Tagle. With his passing, the path he cleared now lies wide open. For decades, Filipino cardinals were viewed as representatives of their region, not real contenders for papal leadership. But today that's changed. Filipino leaders now head Vatican departments. They influence global missions, they chair synods and speak at major ecclesial events. This isn't tokenism anymore, it's real leadership, and the Church is taking notice. If a Filipino Pope is elected, well, it wouldn't just be symbolic, it would really reshape how the world views Catholicism. It would, center attention on Asia, where Christianity is still growing. It would give voice to the poor and suffering, which is something deeply embedded in Filipino culture. And it would inspire millions of young Catholics to dream big, not just about careers or countries, but honestly about faith and mission. Imagine the impact on the global Filipino diaspora. Just imagine the evangelization that could unfold in places like China, Vietnam, and Indonesia. This would be more than a papacy, it would be a global moment of inspiration. For centuries, missionaries came from the west to the east. Now, the flow is reversing. Filipino missionaries, priests and religious are serving across Africa, Europe and the Americas. The Philippines is now a mission-sending country. If the next pope is a Filipino, it would fulfill the vision of Isaiah chapter 2 verse 3, "For out of Zion shall go forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." Except now, the Jerusalem of the modern world might just be Manila. It may surprise some viewers, but many Protestants are watching this prophecy with open eyes and curious hearts. Why? Because it signals something bigger, a spiritual realignment, a new openness, maybe even one day a deeper unity among believers. After all, Jesus didn't pray that we'd be right. He prayed that we'd be one, as it says in John chapter 17, verse 21. The rise of a humble pope from a land known for devout Christians could be, well, a spark that heals old wounds and ignites new unity. So what does all this mean for you? Even if you're not Catholic, even if you've never been to the Philippines, even if you're just now hearing this prophecy for the first time, this moment invites you to reflect. Because here's the truth, God is moving. This isn't just about church politics or Vatican elections, it's about how God continues to work in the world through ordinary people, through surprising places. And yes, maybe even through a Filipino Pope. So the question is, are you watching and are you ready? So, we've talked about a prophecy, a people, and, well, a possible Pope. There's that Protestant vision from decades ago. We've seen how the global church is shifting eastward. Filipino leaders are rising, not just in influence, but, in real holiness. And honestly, it seems like the world is ready for new spiritual leadership. Whether or not Cardinal Tagle is elected, and whether the next pope comes from Manila or Madrid, one thing is certain, God is not finished. We are living in prophetic times. And God is calling all his children, Catholic and Protestant, East and West, to wake up, pray and prepare. So let me leave you with this. If you believe this message matters, hit like so others can discover it. Share this video with a friend. It just might open someone's eyes. And tell us in the comments, do you believe the next pope could be Filipino? What signs have you seen in the world that suggest something big is about to happen? Let's start the conversation below. And until next time, keep your heart open, your faith strong, and your eyes fixed on Jesus.